You excited? Mouth watering? Hi guys, Noel from the Meat Mafia Collective here again. And look, I'm really excited today because we've got an absolutely beautiful Carrara MB3 standing rib roast that I'm going to trim up and show you how to cook. So we're going to cut these into individual tomahawks. I want to recognise Jeff Putt, who's the barbecue butcher. If you're not following his YouTube channel, it's the barbecue butcher. He's also got a Facebook page, so he shows you how to actually butcher big cuts of meat. But Jeff was kind enough to hook me up with this piece of meat for today's video. So thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it and hope I can do it justice. So Carrara is an Australian pure blood Wagyu product. It's fully grain fed for its whole life. So I guess what we're going to see here when we open it up is really good marbling, and obviously it will have that sort of grain fed, really rich flavour of the meat. As suspected, it's a spectacular piece of meat. So you can see here it's got a huge spinalis, really good marbling through that. It's a bit of trimming just to sort of tidy it up and get it ready for hanging in the pit barrel to smoke. So what I'm looking to do, all of this really hard Wagyu fat is not going to render in the pit barrel, and it really won't be good to eat if it's not rendered. So I like to take that outer layer completely off. You can see that's just really solid fat here, you know. So we're not going to take all of it off because fat is flavour, but we are going to take quite a bit off because it just won't render as deep if we don't. So I'm just going to hold this up for you to have a quick look at. Essentially, I've taken quite a bit of that fat cap off, but I have left some fat on there. Fat is flavour for sure. I've then flipped it over, taken some of these unsightly bits off here. Little bits and pieces that are sort of hanging off it will burn. Again, don't be afraid to trim bits off if you see them. But now what we're going to do, obviously this is a standing rib roast and we don't want to cook this whole today. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to cut 2 decent steaks off of this. Some people actually choose to French these bones, and essentially this is a beef rib and it cooks up really nicely, and I actually like gnawing on the bone, you know, so I've always wondered why people actually French these out. And I'm going to do a little bit of trimming on the back with the membrane there, so it makes it a little bit easier to eat. I'm going to take a butcher's knife. So obviously I've been using the boning knife for trimming for most of my videos. We're actually going to swap over now to a butcher's knife, which is quite a bit longer. It's got a very curved blade and it's super sharp. We want to cut 2 really decent steaks off of this. And look, I'm going to show you the inside of this meat. This is what we're working with today. And that is an amazing piece of meat. So as you can see, there's a huge amount of meat on these bones here, which you can sort of eat off like a rib. I'm very excited about cooking this. So we're going to go to steak number 2 now. So we're going to take this one from the outside as well. And we're just going to go directly in between the bone. And we're just going to follow that meat seam down. And there you have it. 3 really decent sized tomahawk steaks. So there is quite a thick membrane on these, which again, if you want to eat it as a rib, you don't want to be really biting into that. So not a lot of people do this. I always do. With my tomahawks, I tend to take that piece off, and that just means you're biting through beautiful meat. And as you can see, if we compare steak 1 and steak 2, much nicer to look at. You know that you're going to bite into that and you're going to be going through meat. And as I said to you earlier, we're going to hang these. Can't really stick our hook through the bone, so we actually have to drill those. So we're just going to drill a hole in each of those now. With the pit barrel, you basically want to make sure that you've got room to get the hook over the bar. A lot of people drill them too low and then they can't actually get them over the bar. So I normally just line it up like this, just sort of measure it and go, okay, well that's roughly where it needs to be. So I'm just going to rinse these off now under the tap just to get rid of those bone fragments. Fairly uncomplicated process really. So these are reasonably dry. So all we're going to do is just put a little bit of water on the surface of the meat so that our rub sticks. And we're just going to grab a wee handful and just get a good coating of this on. And again, Gonna do, I mean, it's a huge piece of meat, so we're gonna spray the sides and get all sides of this to get the flavour in. Bit of a spray on the other side. Rub in again. And then the final side. Get that rub onto those rib sections that we're gonna eat later. Bit more water on the edge. As you can see, really even coverage across the whole surface of the meat. That's what we're looking for. That's a perfectly rubbed tomahawk there. You have rum and cube blackout, which is a really good charcoal based rub, but heaps of flavour. And we're also now going to try the bovine bold by Plowboys. Really fortunate today that we've got 2 steaks and we can actually experiment with flavours. You know, I'm always up for doing that. Okay, so that's our 2 tomahawk steaks rubbed. We're now going to get the hooks into them so we can hang them in the pit barrel. So what I like to do is come in from the front of the bone. So our drill holes all done. And then we just check how they hang. All good. Okay, so our tomahawks are now ready to go. And what I'm using here is the Fireboard competition probe. So you can see they're way shorter than a normal probe is on a external thermometer, and they're also a lot thinner. So the reason for that is when you put them into the meat, when you take it out, it doesn't actually leave a hole, but also it's perfect for reverse searing steaks because you don't go so deep, so you kind of know the depth that you're going into. So all we're going to do here is we're going to stick it. I know that that's going to go in pretty much where I need it to be, so we're going to just stick it in from the side here as deep as we can go, and the same with this one. Always difficult doing it with one hand. So as you can see, there's some ribs in here, and that is a different video, so if you want to check that out, that's also on the YouTube channel, the Meat Mafia Facebook page, and the Meat Mafia website eventually. So we're just going to hang our tomahawks in here now. And we want to make a note of which one is which. So we've got the fatter one, which is going into channel number 4. And we've got the thinner steak going into channel number 3. So we're going to aim to take these off for a rest at about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. And we'll come and check these out a bit later. So my fireboard has told me that this has hit temperature now. So we're at 115 degrees on the thinner of the 2 Carraras. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this out now, because I'm aiming for a sort of medium rare to rare kind of finish. So you take it off a lot earlier than you think, because the searing process actually brings the heat up again. Now that we've taken it off, we can actually remove this temperature probe because that's surplus to requirements. And we're also going to remove this hook as well, because the next phase is to actually sear that off. So we're going to rest that for about 20 minutes, I would say, no more. And we'll come back and sear that off and see what we're working with. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the lid off. So we've got a roaring hot chimney of charcoal next to me, and we're going to get that in here and just get that as hot as we can possibly can to sear these tomahawks. So here goes. So once you have your coals in your Weber GA, you just want to spread it out so you've got a level charcoal base, and definitely be careful of spits, you can kind of hear those. You want a level charcoal base, and then you want to get your grill on, and I've just given this a light oil inside. So you want to get your grill on, and you want to get your grill hot as well. And that's my setup for reverse searing any steak. And we're about to sear, just a little one of my secrets for you guys. Gourmet duck fat spray. So this is the fatter of the 2 tomahawk steaks, and that's now ready. Pull that out, and this one, remember, had the rum and cube blackout, so it'll be a lot darker. Okay, so we've got our duck fat sprayed tomahawk. I'm pretty excited about this, so we're going to get that straight onto the Weber GA for searing. And the idea here is that you're getting caramelization on the outside. So if it's charred, brilliant. That's what you're looking for. You're looking to caramelize all the sugars in the meat and the fats, the duck fat, the rub. So this is the bit where we get all the flavour onto the outside of the steak. All done. Okay, so that's had a 20-minute rest and we're ready to sear this now. So let's get it on. It is so bloody therapeutic, isn't it? I can watch this all day, but it is actually ready to come off now. So we're gonna get that onto the board. And that's our steak, reverse seared and caramelised. Okay, so Tomahawk steaks, pretty exciting moment. Reverse seared, seared over the Weber GA, really good caramelisation. So you can see the rum and Q blackout, a lot darker, but you can see that that's got sort of red veins going through it. So we know that there's going to be a bit of a smoke ring and good smoke penetration. This one obviously is slightly smaller, so that cooks a little bit quicker, but both should be cooked to around about the sort of medium rare to rare side of things. So let's have a look inside. Okay, so we're just going to take this bone off first. So what you've got here is wall to wall, medium rare. So reverse seared steak. Thanks very much for watching. Keep an eye out for more Meat Mafia tips and tricks on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and also our website, which is www.meatmafiacollective.com, which is launching soon. Thanks, guys.